Welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast, the show where we help you optimize your health, fitness, and mindset on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. My name is Maxime Sigouin. I am a former triathlete, powerlifter, bodybuilder, and basketball player, and I've been vegan for over 9 years. I'm also the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, which has helped over 500 vegans from 20 different countries to completely transform their bodies and their health. I'm excited for you to hear today's episode. Let's get into the show. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, we're going to go over some of the principles that we teach our members that allows them to have such successful transformation. So a lot of these are more mindset shift, different ways to view their action and their situation, failures, bump in the roads, whatever it may be. So if you're a member of the tribe, a past member of the tribe, you've heard me say these often. So let's jump into them. So for those of you that are not working with us, that are considering working with us, or that are on your own transformational journey, soak these in, because if you can understand these, it'll make your journey a lot more enjoyable. You're going to get better results, and you can get more sustainable results, which is very important, right? Because, fun fact, I'm going to throw this in there before we jump into them. The majority of people in the world lose over 100 pounds in their lifetime, the same 10 pounds over and over again, right? What I'm looking to do with our coaching program is to end that cycle. Let's just make this the last fat loss you ever need to do. So you don't need to worry about the weight coming back on and then you having to do another crazy fat loss. So the big one that I tell a lot of my members is consistency compounds, right? Just going to use the analogy of finances. If you're trying to add money to, to the stock market, to your savings account, and, you have a, 10% return, I think, like S&P 500 over the past, 100 years, at about an average of 10% return. So you're making money on your money ultimately. So let's just see that in terms of like action for your fat loss. If you're showing up for your workout, you're showing up for your nutrition to the best that you can, even though sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's 70%, sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 10, we can compound those numbers. But what we can't compound is zero. If you don't show up for the workout, if you don't even give it a shot for your nutrition, well, we can't compound 0%. We can't compound $0. I need you to give me a little something so we can start compounding that. So if you give me 50%, we can compound 50%. But as you know, if you put $5 into your investments, well, it'll take longer to pick up versus if you put $10, right? You're going to grow a little bit more rapidly with your money. So same thing with your action. The more often you give 100%, the faster you're going to grow. Now, for you to give 100% every single day, we can look at it from two different ways. Like you feel 100% and you're absolutely conquering all your workouts and you're 100% perfect on your nutrition. Now, I don't think that that's doable because I've coached over 650 people at this point, and we've never had anyone with a perfect journey. We had a few people come really close, but we've never had anyone come with a perfect journey because life happens. There's emergencies that show up. There's things that are out of our control that we have to deal with. And so, yes, you're going to have moments where you slip on your nutrition. Yes, there's going to be moments where potentially you miss some workouts throughout the week, and that's fine. What you want is give 100% of what you got. So if you feel 50% of it for the day, give 100% of that 50%. What most people tend to do is like they feel 50%. They either go like, I'm not going to go today because I don't feel that. I only feel 50%. Or if they feel 50%, they're going to be like, well, I'm just going to go and show up, but I'm not going to give it my all because like I don't feel 100% today. No, you want to give 100% of that 50% because that's going to help the compounding effect get greater results, right? You're going to start growing a lot more rapidly. You're going to start getting results a lot faster. So consistency compounds is something that all my members have been tattooed into their brain that I know that they think of every day. So the second one is E plus R equals O. You've heard me talk about this multiple times on the podcast. I have it tattooed on my arm. So E plus R equals O stands for event plus response equals outcome. So it's the equation that shows why you're responsible for everything that's in your life. So all the amazing things that are in your life and all the bad things that are in your life, right? So if you're overweight, you're in debt, you're unhappy in your relationship, you're unhappy in your career, guess what? You're responsible for all of these things because you responded to certain events in your life that led you there, right? You could have made different choices, you'd be in a different place. So, but you're also responsible for all the good things that are in your life, right? So if you have an amazing relationship, you have an amazing career, you have an amazing family, you have an amazing body, you're responsible for that as well. So a lot of time we only want to own the good stuff. We don't want to own the bad stuff. But the reality is we have to take ownership of all of it because we're responsible for all of it, even the things that are out of our control. I'm going to explain why. So the E stands for event, R stands for response, OE stands for outcome. So when there's an event presented to you, there's multiple outcomes that are possible. And the different outcomes that you can create for yourself are going to be connected to that R, how you respond to the event that's been presented to you. So there's two options for it. You can either react or respond. And the analogy that I like to give to our members that makes it crystal clear for everyone is, let's just say you had a really stressful day at work and you're just like impatient and cranky, and you get home and your partner says like, hey, how are you doing? But says something to you, and then you just snap back with a snarky remark. Guess what? The outcome is potentially you're sleeping on the couch tonight. All right. Because you reacted to the event that was presented to you. But let's just say that you come home, you meditate in your car before you walk in, and your partner says something, and you're just like, you know what? I had a stressful day at work. I'm not going to leave a snarky remark. Guess who's not sleeping on the couch tonight? You are, right? So it all has to do with your response. So at the end of the day, we're going to be thrown a lot of events in our life, some of them that are in our control, some of them that are outside of our control. But what we do control 100% of the time is how we respond to those events. We can either react or respond. And the difference between a reaction and a response is the pause. If there's no pause, it's a reaction. If there's a pause, then you have the moment to choose how you want to respond, which will create a very different outcome for you. And so a lot of times it's things that happen fast in life. Sometimes are bigger news or bigger events that show up. And so what I always like to do when there's a big event that shows up, I look at what's the outcome, what's the best outcome I can get out of this event. And then I go, how do I need to respond to get that outcome? And it allows me to make much better decisions to deal with events a lot better. I'm going to add a little layer to that. If there's an event and you react to it, it'll create an outcome. But guess what? This next outcome can also be considered an event. So you get to respond, you get to try to recover to this new event that was created to create a different outcome. It's not because you react once and that's the end of it. You create an outcome, which is now a new event, which you get to respond to create a different outcome for yourself. Right. So don't think that because you reacted, it's the end of the world. You still get to recover from that. So that's the second one, right? It makes you understand how much power you actually have. You had a stressful day at work. You come home, you're like, oh my God, I really want to order pizza instead of eating the delicious Buddha bowl that Coach Maxime gave me that's in my fridge right now. Well, you get it. You get to choose. This is the event that's presented to you. You're stressed, tired. You don't want to eat your food. You want to have pizza. Well, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to react and order the pizza, or are you going to eat the Buddha bowl? Right? You're going to create a very different outcome for yourself. You're going to be on track if you eat the Buddha bowl. You're going to feel good after. You're going to have a good night of sleep. You're going to feel great the next day. If you order a pizza, you're going to go way over your calories. You're going to feel bloated that night. You're not going to have as much of a great night of sleep. You'll wake up feeling puffy the next morning. You maybe will feel a little bit groggy. Maybe you'll make some other bad decisions at work the next day. Who knows? But it all stems from your choice that you're about to make. So what I tell members is take ownership of whatever response you're giving, because that's fully in your control. No one can control that for you. All right. So that's E plus R equals O. The third one, this is a big one. I always tell our members, win the next meal. So your ability to succeed in a fat loss transformation, a lot of the time comes down to how fast can you get back on track once you've messed up or once you've slipped up. Because I'll be honest, everyone slips up at one point or another towards their fat loss journey. Again, just you're stressed, you make a decision that you order pizza, you have to own it. Cool, you ate pizza. I don't care. It's fine. But here's what a lot of people do. They start their fat loss journey, especially around New Year's, and then they miss a workout or they slip on their nutrition. It's like, man, I just messed up the whole thing. Well, let me wait until next year for next New Year's resolution. Then I'll do it right. Right. So they delay it. I'm like, dude, we're only 4 months into the year. You got 8 months to go. Right. Like, why waste the next 8 months? But that's a lot of people's mentality. It's like, I'm gonna wait till the next New Year's. Some people will wait till the next month to get started again. Some people will wait till the next week. Like, next Monday, I'll kind of jump back on it. Some people will wait until the next day. So if they mess up their breakfast on Saturday, they go and have some pancakes and they're like, should have had pancakes. I went over my calories. Well, screw it. I'm just going to throw in the rest of the day. I'll get back on track on Sunday. Well, guess what? You can cancel a whole week's worth of calorie deficit in one day if you just throw away your Saturday. So a lot of people struggle with the weekends, and that's why they can't lose weight. So what I tell my members is don't wait for the next year, the next month, the next week, the next day. Win the next meal. So if you had way too many calories for your breakfast, I don't care. Go eat your snack, go back to eating your lunch on meal plan. Yes, you're going to be over your calories that day, but then you're not going to find yourself in the vicious cycle of trying to compensate with your calorie, of feeling guilty for it, and then potentially eating more or trying to severely cut your calories or trying to over exercise to compensate for it. What you do that, it's going to make you hungrier. It's going to make you harder for you to fight your cravings. We don't want to do that. We just want to stop the cycle. Win the next meal. So your ability to get back on track as fast as possible is what determine the speed at which you will have success, and if you will have success at all. Because if you just bail and wait until next year, well, I don't consider that success. You're literally throwing in the rest of the year, so the rest of the 8 months to get there. So win the next meal. Very important one. The fourth one is trust the process, right? So there's three. I tell this to a lot of our members because, listen, there's three things that need to happen for any successful transformation to happen, but just to have any success in any area of life. So I'm going to share with you these three things apply to obviously your fat loss and your health. They apply to your relationship. They apply to your business. They apply to your finances. They apply to any area that you care about that you want to become better at. So one, you have to model a proven concept, right? Like, would you take financial advice from someone that's broke? No, they obviously don't know what they're doing. Right? So you wouldn't. So model a proven concept. So personally, what we teach our member are the same tools and strategies that I've used on myself for the past 17 years of my life to manipulate and transform my body at will. I'm a master at transforming my body. If I was to rate all the areas of my life on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10 out of 10 in this area. So I've mastered how to do it, and I've distilled it down to its core principle of what needs to happen to have a successful transformation, right? So I know that it works because I've been using these tools for the past 17 years for myself. And then guess what? We've also helped over 600 other people do the exact same thing. So I know it works. No one can argue with me that it doesn't work because I know for a fact that it does work, right? So we have a proven concept. Second is full immersion. So you need to change your environment. That's what full immersion is. You need to put yourself in another environment where you get to practice these new habits, build these new belief systems, these new value systems, because ultimately the environment that you're in brought you to the place where you're at. So whether you're 20, 30, 50, 80, 100, 200 pounds overweight, your environment helped create that for you. So what do we need to do? We need to change that environment for yourself. So that's how I built the program to be this beautiful ecosystem of supportive people through the coaches, through the members, through the resources, through the group calls, which we have one per day covering different topics to educate you on all the areas that matter to help you have a sustainable and successful transformation. So that's the second one, full immersion. You need to change your environment, and we've created that for you in the program. So the third is space repetition. So once you're out of that full immersion, right? Because you can't live in there forever, because there's a certain point where it starts to become a crutch, and then it doesn't serve you, then you're reliant on it. So what we want is for you to become autonomous after. So we go through the stage of spaced repetition. So in that stage of spaced repetition, that's where we continue to practice the habits in the training. And that's why we also included 2 free months of coaching for our members once they're done the program, because I noticed that when I was doing coaching programs before, when you were done, you were done. And I was like, oh man, I need to take care of my training, my nutrition, and I need to be self-accountable. Like, how do I do all of that? So we do 2 months of free coaching after for members, where basically it's a specific process, but we basically just slowly remove the training wheels. So people don't find themselves like shocked having to handle everything in life at the same time. And then we do a 6-month check-in on them to see kind of where they're at. So we continue to practice that spaced repetition. So when I say trust the process, is we have a proven concept that works, right? So trust the process. Whatever you're going to read online about keto and paleo and this new fat loss trend of whatever may be, right? They don't have a history of success. If you've tried keto, paleo, you've probably tried a lot of different things. And guess what? The weight came back on, right? I can guarantee the weight came back on, because the stats are 95% of people put the weight back on 6 months to a year after. So trust our process. So the other one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one is, I have a lot of them, and that's not even the list of all of them. Those are just the one I can think of on top of my head before we started recording, or else the podcast would be, 2 hours long. It's the paper roll analogy. Like tissue paper. I was trying to remind what the word is, but just paper towel. Like when you're in the kitchen, you have a roll of paper towel. So I use this for my members that are potentially feeling, hey, my body's not shifting as fast as I want to. I'm not noticing the changes. So there's a few things, right? You see yourself every single day. So as coaches, we get your photos, we get your data from your weight, for your sleep, to your stress, to everything. So we can see those changes, but you see yourself in the mirror every day. So I use a paper roll analogy where I just remove one tissue from it and I say, do you notice a difference? And then people go, no. And then I remove another tissue. I'm like, do you notice a difference? And I go, no. And then I remove a bunch of different layers. So each layer is a day of training. So guess what happens if I remove 50 of them? Do you think the roll is smaller? Yes, it is smaller, right? Because we've removed over 50 sheets. So it's the same thing with your transformation. When you start, you don't see that much of a changes, but eventually it just starts to kind of pick up and then you start to see those bigger changes. So this is a paper roll analogy for you. And then the last one is the kettle analogy. So when we talk about consistency compounds, right, we want that exponential growth, but there's also a concept that happens in transformation where depending on where your body is at when you get started, most people's body isn't optimized before they start a transformation with us. Everyone's body is optimized after they're done with us because we've done the fat loss and we sped up their metabolism. So they're in an optimal place for fat loss. But most people come to us with a more damaged or slower metabolism, or it's just all out of whack. So we take them in kind of with where they're at. Some people, we have to reverse diet at first. Some people are in an okay position to do a fat loss phase. Most people are in a good position to do a fat loss phase. We've got a few rare cases where people are eating 800 calories a day and doing 2-3 hours of cardio a day, and then they want our help to lose 30 pounds. I'm like, we can't. You're not in a position to do it. You're actually in an unhealthy position. So we need to reverse diet, right? Lower that amount of cardio, increase your food a significant amount. And then most people, right, they stay about the same weight, but we're able to add like 1,000+ calories of food. Then they're in an optimal position. Then we do the fat loss to lose the 30 pounds, right? So it depends on where you're at and how much you've kind of messed up your body, ultimately, is a more frank way to put it. So the kettle analogy is some people have done so many cycles of fat loss that their body is resistant to fat loss, right? It's kind of like when they go into deficit and they start doing a bunch of cardio because they have that kick again, their body has this like red alert that turns on inside and their body goes like, holy shit, there you go again. And then just holds on to everything, right? So, but the thing is, your body goes to hold on to everything. But because of the way that we do fat loss, we're able to trick the body into going into fat loss. And at first, the body might offer more resistance. So all I say to our members is continue showing up, because when you're doing that training, you're taking nutrition, as much as the body's not shifting as much as you want to, that pressure is building, kind of like in that kettle when you're boiling water for tea, that pressure is building. And eventually the pop just tops off and then people start melting away, right? Their weight just continue to drop. We had a member who was stable, I think, for just chronic stress, under eating, wasn't losing weight for 4 months, but she was doing everything right. And I was like, hey, just trust me, it's coming. And then there's a point where her body just went like, okay. And then dropped like 12 pounds, I think, in like, I think it was like 5 weeks. It was really fast, but we didn't change the nutrition or the training. The body was just like, okay, like now it's time, and started melting away. Right. So sometimes you just have to be patient and trust the process ultimately, because we know what we're doing because we've done it hundreds and hundreds of times, right? So guys, that is the principles that we use for some of our members, that we teach our members once they come into the program. Again, there's a lot more than that, but I don't want to make the podcast too long, and I want to keep some of the little secrets for our members as well, right? So again, if you're interested in transforming your body, you find that you're stuck in where you're at, you can't lose more weight, or potentially you have a history of losing weight, you're really successful at it, but guess what? You put it back on within a year after, that it's not success. You just canceled out all your effort. So if you want to make this the last transformation you need to do, lose the weight, keep the weight off, speed up your metabolism after. If you're stuck, you want to get unstuck and go to the next level. If you're wanting to transition to eating plant-based and lose the weight, if you want to improve your health, whatever it may be. Honestly, we work with everyone, as long as they're not currently going through cancer, just simply because they're going under treatments and it's too much stress on our body already. But we do work with people that are trying to improve their health post-cancer treatment. And as long as you're coachable and willing to learn and improve, show up and do the work, that's all we ask. If you're coachable and willing to show up and do the work, you're going to get amazing results, right? So being coachable means not coming in and being like, well, I want to do it with keto. Well, we don't do that, right? Because there's a lot of science that shows that it's not healthy anyway. So saying if you're coachable and you're currently not going through cancer, we might be able to help you in your transformation, whether you're stuck, you're doing everything right, your body's not moving, you have a history of yo-yo dieting, whatever it may be, we can help you. So there's a link down below in the show notes so you can book your free breakthrough coaching call with me directly. And we can have a conversation as to what needs to happen in order for you to have success, and see what opportunity we might have for us to work together. So thank you for listening. Hope you have an awesome day, and stay tuned for the next podcast.